AudioControl has released their new series of amplifiers, the ACM lineup, which stands for AudioControl Micro. Now at first glance, you will quickly understand where the naming of these comes from. These are small. How small? Put them in your pocket small. But don't let their small size fool you. These are packed with solid power and a ton of features. There's more here that meets the eye. In this review video, let's run through an example installation, some of the tuning functionality on this amplifier, and some of the integrated installation features that you wouldn't notice right away that make these amplifiers unique. Let's get on into it and take a look. So the main amplifier we're going to look at in this video is this one, the ACM-1.300. Now it's also worth noting that AudioControl is going to have two more amplifiers in this ACM series for the time being, the -2.300, and I don't have it yet, but the 4.300. This number here tells us how many channels the amplifier has. So in this case, this is a monoblock amplifier. We have a 2-channel amplifier, and then the 4.300 is a 4-channel. Now here's a quick run through of all the specs, so you can pause it and take a look if you want to, but I'm going to be going through each of these individually, showing you how we tune this amplifier and a sample installation. Let's get an idea what it's like to unbox one of these amplifiers. So we'll remove the sleeve. We open this up here, and inside we have our instruction manual. We have our amplifier nicely packaged so that it's not going to get damaged. And there we have it. Dimensionally, this amplifier is about 9.5 inches wide, or about 24 centimeters for our friends outside the States. It's about 3 inches deep, or 7.7 centimeters. And keep in mind, that's just the chassis itself. You're going to need a little bit extra room for the wiring here, maybe an extra 1.5 inches or 4 centimeters. And then for the height, we've got about 1 3/4, which is about 4.5 centimeters. So based on those dimensions, this is a small footprint amplifier. Definitely able to get into tight spaces, but what makes this amplifier unique is some of the design features that they've incorporated to allow for this to install into a vehicle, both mounting-wise and integration-wise, to adapt to a factory audio system. One last thing I want to do here before we get into the installation phase of this amplifier is I want to remove this cover plate by detaching these 4 screws. There we go. You'll notice that once the cover plate is removed, we still have some nice branding and a nice look here. So if you did want to install this without the cover plate, you could, but removing the cover plate gives us access to our different tuning features. There's something else intriguing here though. Notice the location of these 4 holes that held the cover plate on. Now I want to show you something on the back side of this amplifier. You'll notice, we might have to come in close here. On the back side of the amplifier, there's also those 4 same holes in the same pattern. Why would they do such a thing? Stay tuned, and we'll be talking about that in a little bit. For those of you that might be new to the channel, this is the CarAudioFabrication Integration Test Center. This is something I built, and basically what it is it's a stock car audio system removed out of a vehicle. We've got the stock head unit, we've got the stock premium amplifier. All of these outputs here are connected to that premium amplifier. These would basically be all the speaker wires. And then we have a car battery that will be attached to our wire distribution in order to power this whole system. So again, this is basically a car audio system outside of the vehicle. So with the Integration Test Center, I can show you guys what it's like to integrate this amplifier into a factory car audio system. When we go to install this amplifier, we would first mount it in a location that follows good installation procedures. We would keep it away from heat or anywhere that water could potentially get on the amplifier. Now, because these amplifiers are so small, there's a lot more options for locations that we can mount them within the vehicle. Once the amplifier is securely mounted, we're first going to connect our 12-volt constant power wire. Now, we would of course apply a fuse to this wire, and you need to use at least 8-gauge power wire. In this case, I'm connecting 4-gauge. Next to the 12-volt constant, we have the remote power lead. This would be a switched 12-volt source that we would use to tell the amplifier to turn on. Now, in this case, I'm not going to be connecting it because I'm going to be showing you guys the GTO signal sense. More on this once we're fully connected. I'm now going to connect the ground wire. Whatever size you used for your constant 12-volt, you should also use the same size for your ground wire, so a minimum of 8-gauge, but in this case I'm matching my 4-gauge and using 4-gauge. The next connections we are going to make here send the musical signal into the amplifier. Now we have two options here. We can use speaker level inputs or we can use line level inputs. If you had an aftermarket head unit or if you had like a DSP or some other kind of processor, you would take the signal out of those using RCA wires and send it in to the amplifier. In my example here though, I'm going to be using the speaker level inputs, and what that means is we are basically connecting to the speaker wires from our factory audio system. Since I'm going to be using this amplifier to power a subwoofer, I of course would want to make sure that I'm using signal from a speaker that plays bass. My example system already had a mono channel, so I'm only using one pair of speaker wires for the signal. But if you did have a left and right speaker, what's cool about this amplifier is you can connect both of those speakers and it's going to sum those internally and create a mono channel. Now that we have the signal wires here, we can plug them in. Quick side note, I ended up discovering that in order to run one channel, you have to have both wires into number 1. They should not be on the 1 and 4 position, they should be on the 1 and 2 position. The final connection here is this one for the subwoofer output. I'm going to leave it disconnected for now because we need to do our tuning adjustments, but obviously that connects our subwoofer. The first dial or switch that we have here for tuning our amplifier is the GTO Signal Sense switch. GTO is a trademarked technology from AudioControl. It stands for Great Turn On, and what it does is if we have it in the on position, it's actually going to monitor the input, and once it sees a musical signal on the input, in other words, let's say we turned on our radio, it's going to automatically turn this amplifier on without the need for a remote wire in this location. So to demonstrate that off camera, I'm going to turn on the radio and watch this power light right here. There we go, we've got power. Now that we have power to the amplifier, our next setting here is the Cubase. A lot of times with a factory car audio system, what the manufacturers will do is they'll make it so that as you turn up the volume on the radio, it's actually going to internally decrease the bass output. The reason they design it that way is so that when you turn up your factory car audio system, you don't damage your inexpensive, cheap speakers that can't handle the bass. But when we add a subwoofer or an aftermarket speaker that can in fact handle the bass, we don't want that bass roll off anymore out of the head unit, and the Cubase technology helps to restore that. There's two different settings for this, the threshold and then the level that is actually added into the signal, and AudioControl has a great video for how to set this functionality on their channel. I'll link to it down below. After the Cubase, we have our low pass crossover setting. A low pass crossover basically means whatever we set the value at, it's going to allow frequencies below that value to pass through this amplifier into the subwoofer or speaker. We can set it to 80 Hertz by having the switch to the left, or we can set it to 120 by having the switch to the right. And again, if we were controlling the signal into this amplifier with a DSP or with an equalizer or something like that, we can actually leave the switch in the middle and we can bypass that setting. Also, for those of you that are curious, this amplifier does have a subsonic filter built into it at 24 Hertz. In this case, I'm going to set the low pass filter to 80 Hertz. The final tuning adjustment I need to make is for the gain control. Here on the factory radio, on the source head unit, I'm going to play a bass frequency test tone. Again, notice that my speaker wires are disconnected, that way I don't damage the speaker during this process. I am now going to turn up the gain slowly until we see the maximized light turn on. Right there. Once we see it turn on, we're going to back it off slightly. Just test it real quick. There it is, it's on. Back it off slightly. Now our gain is set. Now that I've set all of the tuning settings and I've turned off the amplifier, I can plug in the speaker output. Got the speaker powered back up. I've got a test tone playing. Let's see what this thing can do. Everything's rattling. Do you guys hear that? Definitely some impressive bass output. Now, something else that's really interesting about this amplifier is if we look here in the instruction manual, it has this little light right here, the protection light. It'll actually blink in different time delay sequences to tell us what is wrong with the amplifier if we ever did happen to experience any issues. From an installation standpoint, I really like that because if something's wrong with my installation, I can troubleshoot that more effectively. I mentioned at the beginning of the video that this amplifier has some very interesting mounting options in relation to these 4 holes. Now, what are those 4 holes in the corners for? Let's imagine that we wanted to do some sort of beauty panel where we were going to have a cutout for our amplifier, but let's say we needed to mount it to the back of that panel. Let's say that we were mounting it in the side of a vehicle or something like that. What's unique is we can use these 4 holes to actually mount the cover plate onto the back of the amplifier. This allows us to do what is called a float mount, where basically the amplifier is hanging and we're displaying this top side of it. Now, what else is cool is since every amplifier in this series of amplifiers shares that same design with the mounting pattern on both the back and the front, we can do some unique combinations of these different amplifiers. As an example, let's say that this is our total system. We have 2-way for our speakers up front, and then we have a mono subwoofer amplifier here. What we can do is we can actually put them back to back, and AudioControl is working on developing some different cover plates that would then cover both of these together. It would be one piece. I'll actually put a picture of this up on screen so you guys can see what that would look like. But as you can imagine, having the 1 channel and the 2 channel and the 4 channel, there's a lot of different combinations for what we could do in a very small footprint. Another thing I really like about these amplifiers is they make a great add-on to an existing system. As an example, you can't see the nameplate up in here, but this is a 4-channel amplifier, and then this is a single channel for subwoofer, so you'd have 4 speakers and a subwoofer. But let's say you've already installed that into your vehicle and you're like, you know what, I could really use 2 more channels so that I can do an active front 3-way system, or if you wanted to add rear speakers, something like that. Now you can just add this to your installation instead of having to buy a new 6-channel amplifier. You can easily add this, get signal from one of these other amplifiers, and add on to that system. Because these amplifiers are easy to add on to a system, I think it makes them a great choice for those of you that are budget conscious as well. As an example, let's just pretend that that's a 4 instead of a 2. Let's say that we only have the budget now to upgrade our factory speakers to aftermarket speakers, and we also amplify them with our new 4.300 amplifier. But we know in the future, when we have a little bit more budget, that we want to add a subwoofer amplifier. Since these are the same form factor, they're about the same size, it's not going to be unusual, and it's going to be easy for an install to, in the future, bring this guy into play and install it here next to it, or you could install it on the back side here. In my opinion, this just makes it so easy to add onto your system as you so choose. So there we have it, my friends, the AudioControl ACM or Micro series amplifiers. For details on where you can purchase these amplifiers or to find an authorized dealer near you, I've dropped a link down in the video description. A special thanks goes out to AudioControl for supporting this video and being a sponsor of the channel. If you'd like to see some of my other AudioControl review videos, you can see them here on screen. As always, everyone, I really appreciate it. Thank you guys for watching.